Chapter 1 is basically just a review of the introduction to sociology. I do want to say that social structure and culture are distinct but inseparable elements of society that does help us understand the root causes of social problems. As far as the elements of social structure, basically, this is just the way a society is organized. Class, we have institutions, and some of the traditional institutions is the family, religion, politics, economics, education. And there are other social institutions that are important in modern society, such as science and technology, the mass media, medicine, sports, military, and of course, we can go on and on and on with some of those. As far as social groups, class in sociology, there is no universal definition of what a group is, and that's because we have so many different groups and we attach different meanings to each one. But you do need to know the difference between a primary group and a secondary group. Primary groups tend to be small, they're characterized by intimate and informal interactions. When you think primary, think first, okay? These are kind of like people that are first and foremost in your life, such as your family members, maybe your closest friends, cliques, or what have you. And the way I look at it is if you're not in my primary group, then you're in my secondary group. And these may be large, they could be small, they're task oriented, they're impersonal, and they're formal. Now, keep in mind, it is within secondary groups that primary groups form. It depends on how much interaction you have with those that are around you and how close you may become to some of your classmates or someone in your workforce. And of course, we can go on and on and on with examples with secondary groups as well. Now, social statuses are positions within a social group. Now, class, everyone is going to have a number of different statuses. For example, I am a mother, I am an instructor, I am a sister, I am a grandmother, and I am going to respond to another person in a manner that is appropriate to the status that I am enacting at the time. Now, we can have what is known as ascribed statuses and we have achieved statuses. Ascribed statuses are statuses that is assigned on the basis of factors over which the individual has no control. For example, class, your sex, your race, your ethnicity. These are assigned to us at birth. For example, when Prince Charles was born, it was known that one day he would be King of England. Okay, that is an ascribed status. Achieved statuses is assigned on the basis of some characteristic or behavior over which the individual does have control, such as maybe if you choose to be married or if you become a college graduate. These are due to the competition and maybe the efforts of the individual. Now, there is another type of status that you do need to be familiar with, however, it's not on the PowerPoint, and that is a master status. A master status is a status that is the most significant in a person's social identity. For example, class, let's say that I am a woman, I'm a brilliant scientist, but when it comes to some people, the fact that I am a woman, they don't want to deal with me. So being a woman or a female would be my master status. Now keep in mind, a master status can be based on almost anything, such as a disability, such as your occupation. Like I said, it can be based on almost anything. Now, looking at the elements of culture, and class, I want to say that in sociology, everything thought or made of is an expression of culture. The first one we want to mention is beliefs, and these are definitions and explanations about what is assumed to be true. Class beliefs influence whether an individual or a group is going to view a particular condition as a social problem. For example, what may be a social problem to one group of people may not be considered a social problem for another. And I do want to say that beliefs also influence the existence of the social condition itself. Norms, these are socially defined rules of behavior. There are several types of norms here that you do need to be familiar with. One is folkways. These are just customs and manners of society. For example, class, we know when we talk, we're not supposed to talk with our mouths full. When we walk down the street, we know that we're supposed to walk facing the traffic. When you're getting onto an elevator, it's polite to let the people on the elevator get off before you start barging on. So this is just basically the difference between right and rude behavior. Laws, these are norms that are formalized and backed by political authorities such as the police. And then mores, these are norms that have a moral basis to it, such as cheating or infidelity. So with mores, we're talking about right or wrong behavior. Sanctions, these are social consequences for conforming to or violating norms. Make sure you know the difference between these sanctions. A positive sanction is a reward. I remember giving my children rewards whenever they made A's on their report card. Negative sanctions is punishments. Informal sanctions are spontaneous expressions of approval or disapproval, such as being praised or being criticized. And formal sanctions are carried out by formal procedure. The sociological imagination is a term that we use to refer to the ability to see the connections between our personal lives and the social world in which we live. Class, understanding the causes of social problems by looking for elements of social structure and culture that contribute to personal troubles that are shared by other segments of society. For example, if you become unemployed, that's going to constitute a private trouble for you. But if thousands of people become unemployed, then that's going to constitute a public issue. Now, I want to briefly mention the three perspectives that are predominant in sociology. Of course, we have the structural functionalist perspective, we have the conflict perspective, and we have symbolic interaction. With structural functionalism, society is composed of parts that work together to maintain a state of balance. There are two types of functions that you need to be familiar with. One is a latent function. Latent functions are not intended, not recognizable. Manifest functions are intended and recognizable. For example, class, a manifest function of the educational system is to teach literary skills. We recognize it does that. It is supposed to do that. But the latent function, or one of the latent functions, could be it provides babysitting while parents work. A manifest function of the criminal justice system is to take criminals off the street, incarcerate them, get them out of the mainstream of society. Latent function would be while they're incarcerated, they may learn the techniques of committing other crimes. So make sure you understand the difference between a manifest and a latent function. Now, under the conflict perspective, there are two types of conflict theories of social problems. One is the Marxist theories, that they believe that social problems result from class inequality that is inherent in a capitalist system. And the non-Marxist theories believe that conflicts arise when groups have opposing values and interests. Under Symbolic interaction. This one emphasizes that human behavior is influenced by definitions and meanings that are created and maintained through symbolic interaction with others. One of the theories that fall under symbolic interaction is a labeling theory. This is a theory that a social condition or a group is viewed as problematic if it is labeled as such. For example, as long as teenagers define drinking alcohol as being fun and cool, then they're going to continue to abuse the alcohol. Social problems can only be solved by changing the meanings that people attribute to some situations and behaviors. If our society continues to define providing sex education and contraceptives to teenagers as inappropriate or immoral, the teenage pregnancy rate in the United States will continue to be higher than in any of the other industrialized nations.